Hey, are you ready? Let's get it. Peace and blessings and keep up the lessons. This is your brother Talib from the Brother Talib Show. And assalamu alaikum to my fellow Muslims and everyone else. Hey, I know that I said in my last live stream video with my brothers, Happy Companion, and the brother that I got acquainted to in that stream known as Abode. um, it's just kind of hard. And trying to say that I was not going to get into any more of this discrepancies and the issues and the chaos and just the unfortunate stuff that's taking place in Ukraine and what's happening to our African American people. Oh, not African American. I'm sorry. We're not pretty much there. Let me get that correct. Our African brothers and sisters that are from Nigeria and Egypt, and then you have even if some Asians were affected, and the Indians that were there that complained, and some of their embassies are making statements towards the Ukrainian government and so forth to try to get to resolve the issues of them being discriminated against due to what? Racism, isms and schisms. Yeah, this is what it is, and this is what's been continuously going on. This is what's going to continue to go on as long as mankind still has this disease within them and do not try to strive to get the disease from out of themselves with the knowledge that's been clear. There's plenty of knowledge about this, and especially for Muslims. Muslims should know better. Even with our Arab brothers and Asian brothers who are Muslim that have shown racism to our African brothers and African Americans or whoever, but mainly Africans because African Americans got a little more like position in a sense because they're from America because we have what called status as far as being American. So, because I learned that when I was in Egypt, I saw how they mistreated sometimes and talked down to the West Africans or the Africans that were there from the other parts of Africa, unlike North Africa, and they were mistreated in a sense of discrimination, but not as much as the European does. And let's get that correct. Our Arab brothers that are African descent over there too in North Africa, just like in Egypt, just don't understand. They don't know their history that well, and they're just stuck in their ways of the land and being nationalistic and being, they feel they're out of, only, and that's it. But they're not an Afro-Arab. They're not like we know the word Arab. It just means the person is in a desert. Is a desert dweller. It's like a Bedouin. That and the tongue is Arabiya. That's what we know of the word Arab to be an Arab. It doesn't necessitate that you have to be only as we see the Arabs are. No, no. But we spoke about this. Happy Companion did videos. The Sheikh Yahya did videos. Abdullah, which is Sujada Method, has done videos. Uh, you know, the other all different other brothers that have dealt with these issues, to know that we as African Americans are descendants from Muslims, and they're Muslims from North Africa, but mainly West Africa as well. Okay, and East Africa. Can't forget about that. You understand what I'm saying? So pretty much what I'm getting at is that racism has played a major role in this Ukrainian situation. And I would like to show you clips of to give more proofs. Not that Talib, brother Talib's coming off his hip, but other people that are even not even my race, not African American or not African descent, but other races, have talking about what's been going on and the hypocrisy and the people talking one way and only talking for one type of people, which shows their racist biasness. It shows it. Okay, so let's look at it and see and listen to these people, what they're saying in relation to what's going on and what has happened and what and how it's gotten to where it's at with America. The American government, the American administration here has done and has been doing and getting involved, and the stuff that is underhanded stuff is scary, you know, really scary. Dealing with racist groups and helping to give them support, financial support, so that they can be able to overthrow the government at first, and that was there in Ukraine, which was known through Russia. They call it a coup, and that caused some tensions between Russia and Ukraine then, and also to push forth to try to take control of Ukraine fully and not allow Russia to have any influence over Ukraine whatsoever, and to even fight against Russia if Russia was to come in and do what they're doing now. And this is what we're hearing about now as it's coming into the news. That's why I came back, because it's like more stuff is coming out into the open and being revealed. Let the truth be revealed, as we say. But let's listen to what these people are saying and start off with this one clip first. Okay, hold on. Let me get it going. Hold on for a second. It's the wrong one.
It's the real news. I'm Mate. A surge of neo-Nazism and anti-Semitism in Eastern Europe has a strong U.S. tie. The Polish Senate has approved a law that criminalizes the assigning of responsibility to Polish nationals for the crimes of the Nazi Holocaust and for using the term.
Sorry, this is the wrong one, and I got to get this together a little better because I didn't want to start that one first, but we'll close that out and then go to the right one. Just give me a second. Sometimes this happens, especially when you're dealing with technology. All righty, so here we go. Let's get it going.
What happened? In fact, I'll admit I didn't think Russia would invade Ukraine in the way that it has. But some people were smart. For example, John Mearsheimer. People have been seeing that clip of.
Yeah, if you want, I can actually play it real quick.
Let's play it. This is John Mearsheimer, who is a well-known political scientist. Yeah, yes, from 2015. 2015. Right. So this was a year after the U.S.-sponsored coup in Ukraine. When
now you hear that? The U.S. sponsored a coup in Ukraine. Okay, let's let him go and say more what he has to say.
Far-right elements, including right sector and the neo-Nazi Azov battalion, were weaponized by the United States.
Now, Azov battalion. This is the group that's being revealed into media right now. Speaking as such as who the Americans had, because it was already known and it leaked out in media. Some of them were saying that American government and so forth was giving help and support, financial support, to help the a Ukrainian force, or one of the forces that is besides the regular force, the major country's force itself, to help fight against Russia, right? But this is where it started. It started as a coup, way before even this war started. But continue to listen what he's saying.
To overthrow the government and install predict.
Okay, so that's what he said, overthrow the government. Now let's go to another clip that I want to get into. Okay, hold on for a second. Let me get it. And this clip is going to be more. It's going to be more of what they were saying. It's a clip within itself that they are going to show again. Excuse me, just give me a sec. They're going to show again what was actually going on, and before the happening of what we know today now with what's going on in Ukraine. And all we see is that it's a Russia thing. It's a Russia evil, and Russia is the only one that's been doing the evil there. Let's look into what he's talking about, what they're talking about I'm going to get to the other clip. Just give me a second. Um, Give me a sec. I'm almost there. I'm trying to see if I can get this thing
Azov
loaded
battalion
up.
were weaponized by the United.
Okay, so let me let me get this in here. Hold on. You probably heard a little bit of from the background. I gotta go in and get it back into this browser here. Hold on for a sec. Give me a minute. Yeah, this is things a brother got to do with this equipment here. Sometimes the equipment works well, sometimes it doesn't. That's just how technology is. And what are you going to do?
Azov battalion were weaponized by the United States to overthrow the government and install what the U.S. thought would be a more pliable one. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look.
But I actually think that what's going on here is that.
And real quick, this is one of the guys who actually he has his name is John something. I can't remember what they said his last name, but he was doing the deal, trying to. He's like a scientist, social scientist. He was trying to do some put together some sort of resource or help in essence of contributing to try to make some sort of changes or some sort of diplomacy in the Ukrainian Russian issues that were going on. And not even before that, but with the Ukrainian, they had the different factions that were up against each other as far as politics is concerned, let alone the social issues that came about. But they were basically he as an American was trying to get some things done where it could be on a more peaceful level. Wouldn't be any coup that came about later on, as these people and this gentleman, this lady has said, and he speaks about. So just listen, okay?
The West is leading Ukraine down the primrose path, and the end result is that Ukraine is going to get wrecked. And I believe that the policy that I'm advocating, which is neutralizing Ukraine and then building it up economically and getting it out of the competition between Russia on one side and NATO on the other side, is the best thing that could happen to the Ukrainians. What we're doing.
Azov battalion were weaponized by.
Okay, so basically, to sum that up, as what they're talking about is that they already had plans. This and also that guy was talking about this in 2015. If you noticed, when the gentleman and the lady have mentioned this, one of her name is Rania, and she runs this or she's facilitator of this show. I can't. Let me see if I can get her name. Yeah, Rania Kalik, and the guy is Ali Abunima. Okay, and this show is Breakthrough News. Okay, so you can check it out yourself. I'll even try to put it in the description. Put their link in the description. But again, the point I was saying is that they were trying to mention how the government, American government, as well as the Ukrainian government, work in cahoots. But there was a special group in there that was working in cahoots to try to overthrow the leadership that was there at the time from 2015 on through 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20. Look at where we're at now, 2022. And look at what transpires. You know what I mean? And this group is the I think it's Al Vals. I can't remember. Let me get the let me just pull up the video so then you can hear what another news or social media, if you want to say a media guy, is speaking about, and he brings somebody on to discuss that has a position and knowledge of what's going on there too, and the geopolitical stuff that's taking place. So let's look at what these guys are saying. Give me a minute. Okay, and I'll get the I'll pull up the interactive part so you can see. All right, ready.
Polish death camp.
Let me go
For
back.
Real News, I'm Aaron Mate. A surge of neo-Nazism and anti-Semitism in Eastern Europe has a strong U.S. tie. The Polish Senate has approved a law that criminalizes the assigning of responsibility to Polish nationals for the crimes of the Nazi Holocaust and for using the term Polish death camp. Poland's far-right government is a close U.S. ally and was openly embraced by President Trump in a visit last July. And meanwhile, in Ukraine, it has just been revealed that the U.S. has supplied military assistance to the Azov Battalion, a far-right militia known as a bastion of neo-Nazism within the Ukrainian armed forces.
Now, you hear that? That's not me. That's this guy, Aaron Mate or something. And what is it? Real News Network. Okay, you can check it out yourself. There's so many different like news streams or news social media that outlets that are going out there and getting this news, and they really getting juicy stuff, and they're getting a lot of stuff that's just factually being leaked. It's coming out in the open. People are starting to realize. And just like how it happened with 9/11, it's almost a similar thing. But, you know, the mainstream media, the Western media that's influenced by the Western, and I got to say it, I just can't leave it without being said, but it's highly, highly influenced by white supremacists. And it has to be known, because if it's not known, then you'll still be blind. And you don't see what's going on. You know, you don't see what's going on because they are our media. They're American media or European media or whatever. But who are the majority that run them? Who are the majority that put them out there and control the content that comes out, with editing, of course, and certain things that they're not going to cover because they don't want to cover the things that are going to demonize, or excuse me, not demonize, but it's going to reveal the demonicness and the evil ways of these people and what they're really actually doing and what they have been doing and planning and getting things done to be able to, you know, put this out. Now, this group, as you see, this group is being propelled into the arena of gaining some sort of power in Ukraine, and more now, even more, because the government is of need. They need them, and the people are for them because they show and portray a patriot type of way that the people are happy for, because they are very more patriotic than ever now, because their country is being attacked and invaded by Russia, by a neighboring country. Yeah, it's understood. But at the same time, this leads into nationalism, racism, and the likes of all the other things that is trickling down. And we see it. And what has happened to Africans there, what has happened to any of the Africans, whether they were from North Africa or West Africa, and what's happened even to the Indians, the Asians, and any other people who are non-white Ukrainians, or even if they're Polish. When some of the people going to the Polish areas, they were running into the same type of situation of discrimination because they weren't Ukrainian. They were other than. So the racism was getting cleared for them to see that this is not a thing of just I'm, you know, here in Ukraine. It's throughout Europe, and people are waking up. But some people are waking up but being complacent and staying there and wanting to finish college and finish what we need to do, and wanting to complete their life of trying to live nice and live happy. You're not. These people don't care about you. They don't care who you are. You need to go back to Africa and build Africa. And then you can be respected then. You don't even if we don't even respect ourselves, how can we expect people to respect us? That's why we're so disrespected all over the world. In America, because of slavery was the origin, and how most African Americans became to who they are, because their ancestors were slaves brought here. They had to learn, and we had to learn how to gain respect for ourselves, and we still don't have it. That's why we in the streets acting like a fool, sliding on bars, acting like a fool, walking around in the street looking like we're prostituting our bodies. The women, the men acting like they got colors, different colors in their heads and bodies, and showing, and they gang banging. No self-respect whatsoever. Robbing and stealing and burning and looting in our communities when something goes down, when one of our people get killed by the cops and police, like regularly going on. But we want to burn and loot our own communities. Not to say burning and looting is good anyway. You shouldn't even be doing that. You should be boycotting any businesses, any people, or any companies that don't promote economical structure in our areas. And the policing system, boycotting them and telling them, no, we don't want y'all in our communities. We want reform before y'all come and step in our communities. We'll police our own communities because you're coming in here trying to kill us. We'll stop these drug dealers on our blocks, like the Nation of Islam did back in those days, and then even the Black Panthers back in those times of their times. But what did they do? They dismantled them by surgically putting in place coons into there and killing each other off. That's how it's been going on. And it's still going on like that. You know, I'm talking from this position and from my position as far as on an Islamic level, because as a Muslim, we have to, of course, uphold justice. We have to speak against injustice. And racism is a thing that is from the origin that which it comes from is based in an Islamic knowledge of understanding. And that is with the Iblis. That is with the Shaitan. He was the origin of racism. And he did that with Adam. Because him and Adam are different races, different creation, point blank. And that's where it started from, because he felt he was better than Adam. Allah told him, and I'm just breaking down basic. Allah told him to give Adam respects and due as far as bowing down to him, not in a worshiping way, because he knows, Allah knows who's supposed to be worshipped. He knows he's the one that's only worthy of worship. Allah knows that. Allah ain't stupid. And Allah is way past the knowledge that we understand things. But when it comes to the Arabic terms of understanding, it's basically talking about a respect, giving a position of honor to, giving him honor. That's what it was when it meaning to give him praise or to bow down to him. You know what I mean? To say, hey, like the Chinese do to each other. They don't do that because they're meant basically for worship. But in Islam, that has been abrogated for us to do. We can't do that because in our faith, and we pray and we bow down to Allah only. But that was only for him to do to Adam. So don't get it wrong. And because of his arrogance and thinking he was better, and he said, and he made it in his statements that he's better than Adam, in other words. And he said this to Allah. And Allah said, oh, you know, in a sense, took him out of his position of being where he was at, where he was closer to Allah as a creation, and made him accursed and then banished him from that position to the earth, where he gave him the chance to live even, because he could have destroyed him just right then and there and replaced him with another better creation. Allah mentions this in the Quran, okay? And that he could have been replaced, given a better creation. But Allah used him and said, okay, I'm going to because he said he would be one who will go and try to misguide all of us, every human being, with that same kind of way, with that besides other things, enjoying the dunya, taking part in our desires and doing whatever we want to do to please our desires. All these misguidance, of course, that the Shaitan was going to do to us because he became our devoured enemy. And he was from Adam first, our father of the human race. And he used racism at that time. And racism is trickled down as a disease through us, through mankind, especially the weakest of us. And the weakest of us, unfortunately, with the Europeans have shown that, because they've done the worst in the world. It's going as far as on the basis of racism. And narcissism is part of their disease, that especially the ones that might not partake in the physical acts of racism, but they're just like, they're like speaking like, oh, how does this happen? And why you people keep going on with this racism? Why don't you just get over it? Why can't everybody get along? Because you're sitting in a privileged position, and you don't, because it's not happening to you, but you don't see it because you have a narcissistic way about you. You're a narcissistic mentality that you don't think you've done any wrong or your people have done any wrong, that you represent because you are of their nationality. And this is how a lot of them are. And especially the ones who are actually doing it, like the Ku Klux Klan, they did what they did and everything. They had no remorse. They had no care, stringing up men and women as from slavery all the way till the times when we was even free, stringing them up, killing them, hanging them. This was okay. You know what I'm saying? The Nazis, that what they did, all this racism, it's still predominant in the man's mind, and the disease in the heart, and it's there. But with Islam, alhamdulillah, removes that to the best of its ability, that the person takes heed to it. The Muslim takes heed to it, because like I said, there's some Muslims that have racism in their hearts, or they have certain aspects and traits of racism. They don't want to get closer to their brother, and their brother's African. They don't want to get closer to their brother. Their brother's some African American, or he's from the Caribbean, or Asian, like a darker skinned Asian. The Arab, the lighter skinned Arab doesn't want to get close, or the Pakistani doesn't want to get close, or they don't want to intermarry in their people. It's a lot of crazy stuff, but it's worse outside of Islam, outside of the Muslims. It's worse, and it's being shown in the world. The world totally, like majority of the mainstream masses of people in the world, because they're influenced by mainstream media, they're for this Ukrainian war. I mean, they're for Ukraine and supporting. Don't even know, and just like, even if they hear this, like some of you might even hear this, and it's gonna go right over the head. But let's continue to listen a little bit more. I'm in 26 minutes. I'm gonna stop in a minute.
Max Blumenthal is a best-selling author and senior editor of the Gray Zone Project. His recent piece, published by The Real News, is called "The U.S. is Arming and Assisting Neo-Nazis in Ukraine While Congress Debates Prohibition." Welcome, Max. Let's start with what you have reported for The Real News about Ukraine. You call this a truly scandalous episode of close to covert U.S. support for neo-Nazism in Ukraine. Explain what's going on there.
Yeah, the Azov Battalion is essentially a militia that's grown out of the Patriot of Ukraine Party, which was a neo-Nazi white nationalist party founded by a street demagogue named Andrei Beletsky, who has pledged to restore the honor of the white race, in his words, through his national or social national party in the Ukrainian parliament, advanced laws forbidding race mixing, this kind of thing. And the Azov Battalion became active after the civil war began in the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine. When
you see that, does that look familiar? Does it look familiar? You know what I mean? And this is very important. So just want to let y'all know again that, with our faith, as far as Muslims, we have to hang and cling to it, because getting caught up into this mess and this stuff and being influenced by the mainstream media, you got some Muslim states, some Muslim governments that are supporting this. You should not be supporting any country that promotes racism. No country. That should be a rejection. And then whatever they're going through, they got to go through and get out of it on their own. May Allah guide them and straighten their affairs. But I don't promote and I don't accept any racism, and I'm not going to support anybody with racism. I'm not. I am sorry. That's me. And anybody who does is a person who's blind and ignorant to the fact of the matter, to what's going on, as these people saying. And these guys that just finished talking, they're white. They're not me, African American, or they're not the two people that perceived probably be from Arab background of something. There's several people, even the Indians, they got their show. On, I think it is, if I'm correct. And they're showing stuff. And then when the main lady who speaks on that, she clearly is just talking about how this is a lot of hypocrisy that's going on. And I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it, but I'm over it now to the point where it's going to be what it's going to be. But I hope you got the message, people. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button and share my videos. Get them out. Help the people to get to what's going on and get this, these things out into the open more. We need to continue to do this. Thank you for listening. Peace and blessings, and keep up the lessons. Have a good day. Assalamu alaikum.